Now, I don't know about you, but it really seems like Lucasfilm right now is sort of paying off a bunch of little outlets to say, hey, we need some help on getting some goodwill towards our brand right now, and we need to make fans look as bad as possible. And one of the latest articles that came out just a couple days ago is this one from Variety, where it says Toxic Fandom, how Hollywood is battling fans who are just out for blood, from social media boot camps to super fan focus groups. Now, the reason why I point out to Lucasfilm is because the highlight of this article is really Star Wars based. Sure, it mentions some other shows from Amazon, from Marvel, and projects and movies as well, but the highlight is that of Star Wars and The Acolyte, right at the beginning, right up here. It says, on August 28th, Amanda Stenberg, the lead of Star Wars series The Acolyte, posted an 8.5-minute video on her Instagram. And let me tell you, this is coming from me, it was a doozy, all right. And it goes on to say how, she talks about how it was abrupt, how the show wasn't picked up for a second season, just a month. She wasn't very shocked. She says, it's not a huge shock for me since the series was announced in 2020. She continued, when we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice and hateful language towards us. Now, during this story, I guess they did reach out to Stenberg, but she was unavailable for comment. But, the whole idea is like, fans are evil. Fans are evil. Fans will go and say hateful things about shows that they love and movies that they love and franchises that they love when they don't like it. That's kind of the gist of it. So, they do this whole bit here about Star Wars and The Acolyte, Amanda Stenberg. And, they talk to some people and some insiders. They say it comes with the territory, but it's gotten incredibly loud in the last couple years, says a veteran marketing executive at a major studio. I'm sure it's Disney or Lucasfilm or something. People are just out for blood. Regardless, they think the purity of the first version will never be replaced, or you've done something to upset the canon of the beloved franchise, and they're going to take you down doing so. Sometimes toxic fandoms behave reactively. A House of Dragon episode featuring two female characters kissing and an episode of Last of Us focusing on a gay couple were both review bombed. The practice of mobbing sites like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb with negative user reviews, which gained mainstream attention following the premiere of 2017 Star Wars The Last Jedi. Again, another Star Wars reference. You see why I'm thinking? Anyways. And an entire YouTube ecosystem is devoted to declaring projects like The Marvels and The Boys woke garbage, among other pungent sobriquets. Sobriquets? I'm bad with words. Anyways, so now they're blaming a certain section of YouTube. Very, very interesting. As you see, this isn't the first time that we've seen this attack on YouTubers. All right, we saw it just a few weeks ago. YouTubers attacking YouTubers. I did a video on this. I talked about it on my live show. We see that there's attack on YouTubers just for speaking and talking about their distaste and displeasure for these franchises. And now they're attacking the fans. You see this. Through Variety, they're attacking the fans. This isn't the first time that we're seeing these studios attack the fans. We just talked about it a few days ago, Daisy Ridley attacking the fans. This is becoming a habit. Amanda Stenberg attacked the fans. This is becoming a habit. And it's really ironic because in this article, it's they sit here and try to paint the picture like the studios are the victims. The studios are the ones that are just trying to make content and they're not they're just trying to do their best. That's really what this article is trying to do, which I think is really hilarious. I do think it's hilarious. And I'm not going to sit here and say that studios should be hounded like they are all the time, because I sometimes think that fans take it a little too far. I will say that. But there are times when it's like, all right, you do need to listen to the fans a little bit. There are times when you need to sit there and listen to what the fandom wants. When you sit there and constantly make crap after crap after crap, and you realize that nobody wants to see this crap, you have to take a step back and say, okay, we're doing something wrong here. What are we going to do? Like, why are fans yelling and screaming about it? So it says perhaps the greatest irony of this phenomenon is the disproportionate impact these toxic fandoms have relative to the actual number. That's real funny. They're trying to sit here and say that the toxic fans have relative, or that they're relative to the actual number. Now, I disagree that the fans who are calling out the terrible movies and projects and TV shows that are coming out as being toxic. There is absolutely a toxic side of it. Like I said, sometimes it can be taken too far. 100% can be taken too far. But it isn't always taken too far. Like I said, there is a toxic side. People can take it too far. And those ones are toxic. So yes, I can agree that toxic side is very small. But the passionate fans, the ones who sit there and call out all the ridiculous, and yes, I will say, wokeness that is getting inserted into these projects on a ridiculously absurd amount of regular basis, that's not being toxic. That's not being toxic. There's a difference. Toxic is not calling out the bullcrap you're putting in. Toxic would be threats, boycotts, like specifically calling boycotts on other projects that aren't that. I've seen it in other fandoms, but, specifically saying like Star Wars is adding all of this woke garbage, but you know what? We're going to boycott everything Disney because of it. No, see, that's being toxic. Okay, that's being toxic. But if Star Wars is the one that's doing it, then you stop watching the Star Wars stuff. You let them know. You don't give them threats. You don't, threaten harm or anything like that, because that's being toxic. But sitting there voicing your opinion, that's not toxic. That's not toxic. Now, for some, combating the bullhorn amounts to acting as if they can't hear it, particularly when it's negative, toxic conversation. We don't even engage, says TV marketing executive. What? What are you talking about? That is ridiculous. We saw Leslie Headland, we saw Kathy Kennedy, we saw these executives, we saw these creatives actually engage and make comments. We saw Amanda Lestenberg, we saw Daisy Ridley. They make comments, and they might be underhanded, slight-handed. They might find a way to say it and attack it a certain way. They're not just sitting here saying, oh, I see you over there saying this. No, they're not doing that. What they're doing is saying sly things. They're doing it slyly. But they're 100% fueling the fire. They're 100% saying men are the problem. They're 100% saying, oh, just because you don't like gays and lesbians, that means you're bigots and you're assholes. They're saying things like that. Well, not the assholes part, but they say things like that. They call them bigots. They call them names. They specifically go out there and say, Star Wars has always been gay. Star Wars C-3PO and R2-D2 have always been gay. Because they know that's going to fuel the fire and get those people upset. So they 100% are engaging. So to sit there and say, we don't even engage? Yeah, don't even try to say that. Now, it goes on, and they try to sit there and again, they're trying to make the studios out to be the victims. Now, those who did talk with Variety all agree that the best defense is to avoid provoking fandoms in the first place. Well, they don't do a good job at that. In addition to standard focus group testing, now they do focus group testing. I've actually been a part of that years ago. I was part of a focus group testing, and it was really interesting. I was walking through the mall, and a guy pulled me aside and was like, hey, I want you part of this. It was kind of interesting. It was neat. Just a one-time thing, but it was kind of cool. But anyways, studios now are assembling a specialized cluster of super fans, oh boy, super fans, to assess possible marketing materials for a major franchise project. They're very vocal, says the studio exec. They will just tell us, if you do that, fans are going to retaliate. These groups have even led to studios to alter projects. If it's early enough and the movie isn't finished yet, we can make those kinds of changes. Now I'm seeing fans get upset about this. And it makes sense. I can see that because they're like, well, they shouldn't be altering projects because that is the artist's vision. If that's the artist's vision, we shouldn't be altering projects. This is ridiculous. You shouldn't alter blah, 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 blah. First off, we saw it with something like Sonic the Hedgehog. They altered that because it was early enough. That's an example of the fans saying, look, that's crap. Fix that. They fixed it. It was a big hit. And we're on the third movie, the fourth project in that franchise, and it's doing great for them. But you see, like, there is a nice medium there, okay? Because yes, studios and franchises need to listen to the fans. They absolutely do. Lord of the Rings, with the whole thing going on with Amazon, they really flubbed up with season 1. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan, but I know they screwed up. And they started to fix it in season 2. They didn't go all the way there. They didn't fix everything. But all the people I heard and that I talked to and know that, were really upset with season 1 have come and they've started saying, you know what, they've really gone a long way and fixed a lot of things from season 1 and season 2. It's because Amazon listened. And that's what they're supposed to do. You take a look at other series that aren't doing that. Look at Doctor Who. Doctor Who is not listening. And they are just sticking their feet in the ground and saying, no, we're not moving from what we want to do. And their ratings drop and drop and drop and drop. Star Wars, they stuck their hooves in and they're not moving. And their ratings drop and drop and drop. Do you see the difference there? Like, yes, you need to listen to the fans sometimes. Oh, but Star Wars made $1 billion in merchandise sales. Okay, yeah, so what? Kids love Star Wars toys. I love buying Star Wars merchandise. Yeah, I'm pissed off and I don't like where Star Wars is today, but I still like Star Wars merchandise. I still like that stuff. I like buying stuff. I own my lightsabers and sitting here, but I like having stuff like that. I'm a nerd. Of course I do. But that's the thing. We need to understand that, and the studios need to understand that, they need to listen to the fans. They need to listen to us. Maybe doing this super group fandom thing to assess their projects isn't the right move, but they need to listen to the fans in some way. They really do. And that's where we're at today. Things are different in this world. They have the ability to listen to fans by just watching YouTube. They really do. But we don't want to encourage the hate and the toxicity. Again, you don't need to listen to the toxic fans. Believe it or not, the ones that you are saying are toxic are not the toxic fans. Just because somebody goes on YouTube and says, we don't want all this woke garbage in Star Wars, that's not toxic. That is not toxic. Because you take a look and you see that woke stuff, every time that stuff is getting added into films, into projects, those projects, and the more you put into it, the franchises start to drop. They start to fail. The ratings go down. It's what happens. So maybe you just start listening to the fans. Maybe you start watching those YouTube channels that you say are toxic, but really aren't. Maybe that's how you attack it from now on. And stop sending out your studio heads and underhandedly engaging with those fans, calling them bigots, calling them homophobes, calling them womanizers, because that's what you're doing. That is exactly what you're doing. You're allowing your actors and actresses to go out there. You sit there and say that you create these boot camps for your actors and actresses. What are you doing? Telling them to go ahead and go out there and attack the fans, because look what Amanda Stenberg did. She went and made a music video attacking the fans, and then after the show got canceled, went and attacked the fans again. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They need to fix this whole thing. And making articles attacking the fans, this is 100% blaming the fans. That's what this article is. That's what this article is. It's attacking the fans, and it's absurd. Make a good show. Get back to good writing. Don't worry so much about the current social agendas going on in the world. Write a good show. Write a good story. If some of that social crap fits into the middle of it, okay, that's fine. But focus on the story first. Don't worry about adding the social agenda stuff into the mix. Focus on the story. After you get the story good, tight, and worth telling, if that social stuff fits in there, all right. But if it doesn't fit, who cares? You move on. You tell a good story. That's what matters. That's what fans want. And if you focus on that, you won't have people on YouTube making a big tissy fit about it. It's that simple. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think this is all because of Star Wars? Do you think this is Lucasfilm? I really have a feeling this is Lucasfilm's doing. I don't know. There's just a lot of Star Wars talk in this article. It's what really makes me think it is. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. And with all that said, I'll catch you all later.